To qualify for Social Security disability, you have to have medical problems that limit your ability to work. But how does Social Security learn about those problems and how they affect your ability to work? One of the most important ways is through Form SSA 3373, which patients applying for disability fill out. I've reviewed many of those forms, and in most cases, patients could have done a better job filling out the forms that would have increased their chances of getting their disability application approved. In this video, I'm going to tell you why this form is important, the mistakes I see people make, and how to fill out the form as best as possible to increase your chances of your disability application being approved. Hello, I'm John Foster, and I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability evaluations. I've done over 1,500 of them. As usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now, there are essentially three types of information that Social Security gets that they use to make disability determinations. The first is medical records. Those are the records that your regular doctors, consultants, and specialists send in. The second is your application that you fill out. And the third is a consultative examination, if Social Security orders one. Now, your doctor's records are very important, but they're often not as helpful as you might think, and here's why. Doctors who treat you are primarily interested in two things. Number one, your diagnosis. What sort of illness or injury do you have that is causing your problems? And number two, your treatment. What can the doctor do or recommend that will help you improve or recover? Note that your regular treating doctors aren't that concerned with your work-related abilities. They may note, for example, that you have weakness of your left hand, but they're not really that interested in what you can do with that hand. They mostly want to know, why is the hand weak and what can they do that will help the hand get stronger? Social Security, on the other hand, is primarily interested in what you can or can't do, or can do but with difficulty. And if you can do something with difficulty, is that difficulty mild, moderate, marked, or severe? And many times doctors' notes that I review don't really answer that question. Form SSA 3373 that you fill out when you apply for Social Security disability is your main chance to describe and explain your work-related disabilities, and it's very important that you do it right. In the description to this video below, I'll link to the form. The first problem I see is patients not even filling it out. That's a tremendous mistake. You must fill out this form. The second problem that I see is illegible forms. I'm a doctor. I have bad handwriting, but if I try really hard, I can write well so that other people can read it, and you should do the same. Think about this. If your disability application is approved, you will likely get more than $100 per each word that you write on Form SSA 3373. It's worth writing legibly for $100 per word. If you If possible, it would be best to type this form. Typewriters are getting scarce, but they're still available. If you don't have access to one, you must write legibly. Social Security looks at thousands and thousands of applications, and they don't have hours to go over your handwriting to try and understand what you've written. Now, Form SSA 3373 is 10 pages long. The first 2 pages are strictly information. The third page is where you start to fill out information. Section A is your demographic information, your name, social security number, etc. It's self-evident. Section B is the important section. It's called information about your illnesses, injuries, or conditions. And question 5 is the top priority. It's how do your illnesses, injuries, or conditions limit your ability to work? As I've said many times before, the work-related abilities Social Security is interested in are the abilities to see, hear, sit, stand, walk, lift, carry, handle objects, speak, travel, understand, remember, concentrate, persist, interact socially, and adapt. It's crucial that you explain how your medical problems limit your ability to work. And it's important that you do not use a lot of medical jargon. I want you to describe your limitations in your own words, and also important that you do not exaggerate. If you write down, "I can't do anything," you've proven that you're exaggerating because you're able to write. Here's a couple of examples from patients I've actually seen. I had one patient who had trouble with their rotator cuff in both shoulders and had shoulder pain and limitation of shoulder movement. In this case, I would recommend writing something like, "I have problems with both of my shoulders. My doctor has told me this is due to rotator cuff issues. I can't lift either arm above my head, and I can only lift a maximum of 7 to 8 pounds on either side due to shoulder pain." That description is clear, it's specific, and it's in the patient's own words. Another patient I saw was a dentist. They had trouble with their back. They could only stand for a maximum of 20 to 30 minutes, treat one patient, and then had to lie down for half an hour due to back pain. In that case, the person should write, "I have low back pain that limits my activities. I can stand for a maximum of 20 to 30 minutes, and then the pain becomes so severe I have to lie down for half an hour." Note, no mention of MRI findings. For each problem that you have, you should write down a description of the problem and how it limits your ability to work. Don't leave anything out. You will see that on the form it says if more space is needed, use remarks section on page 10 and reference which question your remarks are about. You can write as much as you want. You don't have to just limit yourself to the form. You can add extra pages, and I suggest that you use as many pages as necessary to clearly and accurately describe your problems and how they limit your ability to work. And again, if possible, print the pages. Now I'm going to jump ahead to section C, question 10. What were you able to do before your illnesses, injuries, or conditions that you cannot do now? Again, a very important question that you need to answer thoroughly, clearly, and specifically. For example, in the shoulder problem, the person might write, I used to, in my previous job, stack 20-pound boxes overhead. Now I cannot lift my arms overhead and I cannot lift more than 7 to 8 pounds due to shoulder pain. In the case of the dentist with back issues, they might write, I used to be able to stand for 3 to 4 hours at a time treating patients. Now, due to back pain, I can stand for a maximum of 20 to 30 minutes and then have to lie down for half an hour. I'm going to jump to question 14, house and yard work. Section A, list household chores, both indoors and outdoors, that you are able to do. And D, if you don't do house or yard work, explain why not. Again, this is an important question because doing house and yard work uses many of the abilities that you would use on the job, such as the ability to stand, lift, carry, handle objects, stoop, etc. If, for example, you used to be able to mow your yard and now you can't walk for more than 10 minutes at a time due to knee pain, due to arthritis, it's important that you explain that. Likewise, question number 18, hobbies and interests. What are your hobbies and interests? And describe any changes in these activities since the illnesses, injuries, or conditions began. Again, they're interested in work-related activities here. If you're limited in your hobbies and interests due to medical conditions, I would definitely answer this question specifically. Section D, information about abilities. They have a list of abilities and they say check any of the following items that your illnesses, injuries, or conditions affect and explain how they affect each item. Again, here is a golden opportunity to explain how your medical problems limit your abilities, which is what Social Security really wants to know. Finally, question 21. Do you use any of the following assistive devices, such as canes, crutches, etc.? Remember that Social Security considers the need to use an assistive device extremely important. So do answer this question. They want to know if the assistive device is prescribed by a doctor. If it isn't, I would include a note as to why you need it, because Social Security wants to know, is your assistive device medically necessary or not? If you're scheduled for a consultative examination, be sure to bring your assistive device. Don't leave it at home, because they ask the examining doctor to determine if your assistive device is medically necessary or not. And if you didn't bring it, the doctor can't do that. A medical necessity to use an assistive device will definitely help your chances of your disability application being approved. Finally, I'm going to give some information that may upset some people, but that's okay because I think you need to hear it. Section C, information about daily activities. Describe what you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Here is where I see a lot of people make a big mistake. And what I think they're trying to do is to get Social Security to feel sorry for them. I see people write things such as, not much, or I lie in bed most of the day, or I sit at home and watch TV. Here's what that sounds like to Social Security. I sit around the house all day feeling sorry for myself and don't do anything to try to get better. That doesn't help your application. Unless you're in a coma, you can do some sort of exercise to help your condition. Even if you can only move one finger, you can exercise that finger. And I'm going to leave a link to a finger exerciser you can buy in the description to this video. Social Security really encourages people to try to get better and return to work. And if they see that you have no interest in getting better and returning to work, how do you think that makes them feel? Much better to put something down such as, I have difficulty moving because of my low back pain, but I do yoga stretches to try to help my back every day. Or, I have shoulder pain that limits my ability to lift, but I lift light weights every day and do shoulder stretches every day to try and improve my shoulder condition. I did weight loss medicine for a while, and I've probably heard every excuse known to man and a few unknown to man for not exercising. And again, unless you're in a coma, you can do some sort of exercise. It's kind of funny because another group of patients that I take care of are competitive fighters, and it's almost impossible to get them to stop exercising. I just went over some charts of people applying for disability, and one of the people had written in that section that they spend most of the day in bed. And their medical problems they're claiming disability for have nothing to do with their bones, joints, or mobility. That was a mistake. So, I hope this has been helpful, and as always, remember, if it happens, it's possible.